Welcome to Grit and Grace, the show that's been on air for 2 incredible years, nominated for Podcast of the Year, and recognized across faith-based platforms for telling raw, redemptive stories that glorify the name of Jesus. I'm your host, Tanya from Texas, and this podcast streams weekly on TruthSeekerTexasRadio.com with full episodes available on demand via TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. Whether it's deep dive Bible studies, powerful interviews with exciting guests, or real talk about mental health and recovery, my mission is simple: to proclaim Christ's power to set the captives free and His love to heal hurting hearts. So if you're looking for truth, testimony, and a whole lot of grit, you're in the right place. Let's get into today's episode. Before we begin today's episode, I just want to take a moment to say thank you. Grit and Grace Podcast was recently listed on FeedSpot's Top 40 Addiction Podcast you must listen to in 2026, and we ranked number 8. We were also listed on FeedSpot's Top 40 Texas Christian Podcast you must listen to in 2026, and we ranked number 21. You can find those lists on feedspot.com, and I am honestly humbled, grateful, and amazed that something born from pain, faith, and honesty has reached people in this way. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you for sharing the show, and thank you for walking this journey with me. I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. And now for this week's episode. Welcome back to Grit and Grace Podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Bruton, and a happy new year to you. A new year always brings reflection, intention, and sometimes pressure. Pressure to be better and to do better and to feel better. But today's episode isn't about pretending we have everything figured out by far. It's about navigating something real. Today's episode is called Navigating Bipolar: Faith, Science, and the Caregiver's View. I live with bipolar disorder, bipolar 1. My mother also lives with bipolar disorder. And growing up, I watched bipolar from the outside, and now I live it from the inside. I've seen how it can look different in two people. For example, my mother leans more toward depression states, whereas I lean more towards mania. And somewhere in between, we both live in the same diagnosis, but with very different experiences. And this episode is not about labels, though. It's about understanding. It's about understanding the disorder. It's about compassion for one another, compassion for those walking through it. It's about faith meeting science. And it's about how we as individuals and families and communities learn to support one another better. So, but before we go deeper into the topic, I also want to share something personal. I'm so excited about this. All right, announcement. I'm currently converting a bedroom into a podcast studio, guys. You don't know what this means to me, because check it out. This podcast has been produced, it started out being produced in a radio station. But then I started producing it from home, from my bedroom, with just a laptop, a used laptop. No microphone, no nothing. So to get this new podcast studio is so exciting for me. What had happened was one of our triplets moved out. And so I got a free bedroom. And so hubby said that I can have it for my office/podcast studio. I've already invested over $300 of our own money into audio equipment alone. And if any of you ever feel led to support that process, I will share ways to do so in the future. You can email me at gritandgracepodcasttx@gmail.com. Not because I expect it, but because by any means, but because I believe in building community together. Now, let's talk about bipolar. I want to start out with two voices who understand this from inside and outside. One being Kay Redfield Jameson, and she says she's a clinical psychologist who lives with bipolar herself. And she said, we need to accept our illnesses and talk about them. They're not a moral failing. That line matters to me, because bipolar disorder is still treated as a personality flaw instead of a medical condition. And then there's Stephen Fry, who has also spoken openly about living with bipolar. He says, if stigma were to disappear overnight, the world would be 1,000 times lighter. for everyone with a mental health condition. These two quotes tell the same truth. We don't just fight symptoms, we fight silence. We fight misunderstanding. We fight shame. And today, we're choosing light. Let's talk about living with someone with bipolar. I don't really like calling it the caregiver's view. I don't know why I called it that, because that makes it sound like we're like hospital patients and people have to care for us. Like, what do you call it? Well, caregivers. Like some sort of like aid in a mental institution. But I felt like growing up that I did have to care for my mom. I had to like be her. I had to make sure she stayed happy. It's caregiving and bipolar, and my husband has been a caregiver to me, and that's just really the honest truth. And caregiving and bipolar disorder is complicated. I mean, the people who care for those who live with bipolar are often find themselves emotionally exhausted. They they deal with fear a lot during when someone has their episodes. They deal with confusion about what to say or what not to say, so that you don't set the person off. You deal with guilt for setting boundaries that are healthy for you and that are necessary. I mean, otherwise, I don't even want to say grief. And then we deal with grief over the person we see them with that or the person that we love when we see them struggling, and that's grievous to us. There are many mental health articles describing caregivers as secondary patients because the emotional toll is so real. Caregivers often ask, is this the illness or is it the person acting this way? Or how do I love without enabling them? How do I help without losing myself? And the truth is, caregivers need just as much compassion as those who are diagnosed. They are not villains, they're not saviors either. They are humans learning to love in complicated terrain. And there's an article excerpt. According to NAMI's article, NAMI, Family Survival Guide, families who communicate with warmth and empathy can directly support stability in bipolar disorder. NAMI notes families that make frequent empathetic comments have higher recovery rates in bipolar. And see, guys, that's powerful because it tells caregivers that they don't have to be perfect or clinical or have the perfect words. Just consistent empathy matters. Like, we need to know that you truly care, not that you're just trying to figure out how to get rid of this burden, right? Yemi even gives examples of what empathetic comments can sound like. Simple phrases like, I see your point, or I know what you mean, or it must be hard. I mean, so many times if you don't notice, you might catch yourself when someone describes, "Oh, I'm going through a rough time right now." Well, what's going on? You'll say, "Well, I'm experiencing a lot of depression lately." Well, you just need to go outside and take a walk, or I mean, we always want to provide a solution instead of just listening and providing empathy. Like, it must be hard. And I want to pause on this for a second because caregiving can feel like walking on glass. You're not trying to trigger the person. You're not trying to enable the person. You're not trying to say the wrong thing. And you're trying not to lose yourself. But empathy, realize this, empathy is not an agreement. It's not excusing harmful behavior. It's staying human while the illness tries to dehumanize everybody in the room. And caregivers need care too, because loving someone through bipolar episodes can be exhausting, confusing, and lonely, I'm sure. I was going to have Josh come on and share a little bit about this, but that's my husband. But we could not coordinate our times for that this week, but I'll have him on again. So, defining bipolar disorder. Let's define bipolar disorder clearly. Bipolar disorder is not, for one, it's a mood disorder, okay? It's a mood disorder, okay? It's marked by cycles of manic or hypomanic episodes, which I have a lot of, and depressive episodes. And then sometimes mixed states. There's bipolar 1, that's what I have. It's full manic episodes that may include hospitalization. I've been hospitalized 2 or 3 times. Psychosis, yep. Or dangerous behavior, check. Check, check, check. Then there's bipolar 2, which is hypomania with severe depression. This would be my mom. And then there's mixed states, manic energy with depressive thoughts. So this is not moodiness, okay? This is not, wow, this person's really moody, so they must be bipolar. It's not immaturity. It's not childish. It's not seeking attention. It's neurological. It's in the brain. Medical research shows bipolar disorder involves differences in brain regions responsible for emotion regulation, impulse control, energy processing, and decision making. And this is why willpower alone cannot fix bipolar. I got approved for disability for my bipolar, and the judge approved my appeal. And on the basis of reevaluating it again in 1 year, because he said I should improve with treatment. How do you improve a brain disorder? Anyways, okay, so let's move on to let me show you a little bit about what mania looks like. Let me paint a picture of mania for you. I'm going to talk about it to you honestly, okay? So just be prepared. But mania looks like racing thoughts. All right, so there's a little bit like ADHD in that aspect of racing thoughts, little sleep, and pressured speech. Pressured speech is a big one for me because I will get like my thoughts are going 90 to nothing, and I'm trying to get them out of me so fast that my words start coming out really hard. And my face is just like, I don't know. It's incredibly, it's kind of hard to describe. And then there's feeling invincible, which kind of goes along with overspending and risky decisions. You're able to make these risky decisions, and you're able to engage in these risky behavior activities because you do feel invincible when you're manic. You do feel invincible. You feel like nothing can harm you. And so like with the overspending, that's just kind of part of the risky decisions, in my opinion. You just don't think about the consequences when you're in manic phase. Another one I want to talk about is hypersexuality. I I have always known I've had an issue with this. With this, I mean, I've been married for 24 years, and I've been having affairs on my husband for, let's see, probably, I don't know, 10 years into our marriage. And I could blame it on a plethora of things, bipolar mania symptoms. When I then eventually started using drugs. So it could be that, it could be that, it could be unhappiness in my marriage at the time, whatever, whatever, whatever. But a couple of years ago, I realized I was researching it. I've been diagnosed bipolar since 2006, and no one explained all this to me. But apparently, hypersexuality is part of bipolar. I mean, there's times where I'll call my husband in here for sex when I'm just bored, or I'll use it for a drug to distract me, to numb me. So, yeah, and that brings me back to the whole caregiver side of things, because as a spouse, he's got to deal with that. That's got to be incredibly difficult. Another one I learned about just this year is perceived slights. SLIGHTS, perceived slights, like I perceive you have slighted me in some manner. Or I perceive that you're talking about me. I perceive that you're thinking, I'll watch your face when you're talking, or I'll watch, like, if you sigh, if your eyes look funny, if you scowl, if you put your eyebrows down, I'll think you're slighting me. You don't like me. You don't want to talk to me. I'm bothering you. I perceive these things that aren't always true, which can be frustrating, because then that leads to irritability. And then there's also grand plans or grandiose thoughts and ideas. Mania oftentimes feels very euphoric, like a drug. And that's the part people don't talk about. It can feel brilliant, like you're just like a genius. That's embarrassing. But you feel like you're a genius and full of creativity, okay? And fully alive. But afterward comes financial damage, relationship damage, shame, confusion, exhaustion, and sometimes grief over who you were during that episode. But bipolar is not only mania. Depression and bipolar disorder looks like hopelessness. Of course, you know what depression looks like, but hopelessness, withdrawal, fatigue, loss of interest in things that you normally enjoy, shame again. Sometimes people feel shameful being depressed. They think it's a sin. Thoughts of giving up. And so, because I don't deal with depression a lot, I don't have a lot to relate to on this topic. But so I'm going to introduce you to a clip from an earlier episode of the Great Race podcast called Battling the Blues. Um, the clip begins at 5 minutes and 37 seconds. It's on my YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all my channels. And it reflects what depression feels like from the inside. Let me play that. So I had technical difficulties and I was not able to play this clip for you guys, but feel free to go to my YouTube channel and find Battling the Blues for that clip excerpt. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so let's get back to the topic. Depression. What a fun topic. Welcome back. Depression doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, and both deserve attention. Now let's talk about faith and coping. Faith tells us with God all things are possible. If you ask in prayer believing, you will receive. But faith does not remove responsibility. Faith prepares us to take our medications, attend our therapy sessions, and journal honestly, asking for help, and to stay accountable. Prayer doesn't change only circumstances, it changes us. And journaling helps us process thoughts. I'm going to talk a little bit about journaling here because it's my favorite coping skill. So I want to highlight that. Journaling has been one of the most important tools in my bipolar journey, not because it fixes my symptoms, but because it helps me hear myself. When my thoughts are loud or too fast, journaling slows them down. When my emotions feel tangled, journaling gives them language. When I don't trust my mind, I can at least trust the page. So for this next part, I want to read a few excerpts from my own journals, just to kind of give you an example of what I do. Now, I have journals going back to when I was like 17 years old. Let's see here. This one, this goes back a long time. This book here, like you can go through my books and they'll either be full of depression or they'll be full of praise. I'm going to read. Okay. This one's from May the 3rd of the year 2000. It says, God, I love you. I love you with all my heart. God, I know when every man fails me, you will never fail me. You will never leave me nor forsake me. Help me to stay focused on you and remember that. Help me to remember not to put all of my trust in man. I don't know what's going on in my life right now, but I know you're going to carry me through. I feel like I'm falling in love with Josh, and I know maybe I shouldn't, but I want to. Oh, wow. You guys, I'm reading this for the first time in forever. I feel like I'm falling in love with Josh, and I know maybe I shouldn't, but I want to. I like him, but I don't want to put all my trust in him and him hurt me. I know he is only human, and there may come a time when he will fail me or hurt me. But as long as you are first in my life and not him or any other person, then I will be okay. Because I know you love me unconditionally, and I know you will always be good to me. You are the everlasting Father, a friend that sticks closer than a brother. God, I love you and give myself completely to you. I give myself to fasting, prayer, and worship. God, I surrender all to you. Lord, lead me, guide me, have mercy on me, and please be patient with me. I know your word says you are slow to anger, full of mercy, and your compassions never fail. Excuse me. Thank you, Jesus, for that. Jesus, thank you. Thank you for everything you are and everything you've done for me. I owe you my life. You are everything to me. Without you, I am nothing. You are the strength of my life, and I worship you. I worship you. So sometimes, um, sometimes they're just prayers. Let me see here. Let me grab another one for you real quick. These are kind of fun to read, actually. Okay, this one, I don't even know what this is. From January 19th of 2021. So this was about, we're in 26, so it's 5 years ago. I find it so hard to write or even communicate what I think or feel. Is any of it real? Hopefully, I get out and catch a meeting today. Romans 6, 12 through 14. I think church might help sometimes. I have so much to be grateful for. My anxiety doesn't make sense. I have a husband, kids, grandkids, health, wealth, home, car, love, family, music, Mike. Then I stopped right there. So, but it's, you can just tell sometimes, I mean, they don't have to make sense. It's just, you know, it's just journaling our thoughts. I mean, Saturday, February 6th, just says, well, I got my court date, May 5th. I've been through so many emotions, and then that's it. Um, Let me grab another one real quick. Let's see here. This one's more of a podcast notes. So let me skip that one. Let's try this one here. Now this one looks like it might be different. So Saturday, March 7th, 2015. Tossed and turned all night with leg cramps. I'm on my period. Supposed to go help at Harley Davidson, but not feeling well. Girls spent the night with Allison. I'm 133 days clean. It's been 185 days since I went back to my hometown. 6 days till Winter Jam concert. That's all I put. Um, let's see here. I don't know. Y'all get the point. Y'all get the point. Um, yeah, y'all get the point. Let me try one. Let me give you one more. Saturday, March 21st, 2015, 147 days clean. So one more day left of spring break. The weather has yet to really change. Amelia is sick with that weird, gross scalp fungus and a bad rash all over her body. Carter is here for the weekend. Noah is with Madison and Austin. I've been eating way too much and laying around too much. I'm bloated and lethargic, 214 pounds. March 23rd, 2015, we started back to school today with a clean house, no nurse calls, and sunshine. Blake is home today and tomorrow. I feel like the Holy Spirit told me today that I can avoid some stress on this issue by no longer mentioning every little thing to Josh's head of this, to Josh. I don't know what I meant there. Josh's head of this house, if he is okay supporting him when he's here, let him. If he's not, then it's his place and decision to address it. So I'm going to try that and keep praying. Also, I need to remember to stay balanced and active, yet not too hard on myself. I'm only 5 months clean tomorrow. I need to remember what a miracle that is and not to put too many expectations on myself in the first year. Keep conscious contact with God, manage the kids, the house, and take a bath and get rest every day. Keep it simple. So you see where I'm going with this. Um, Journaling just helps it helps you process. It helps you process. I highly recommend it. I hope that didn't bore you all. um, those were written, like I said, in different seasons, different moods, different versions of me. And I didn't share them because they were polished. I shared them because they were honest. This is what bipolar looks like from the inside. Not just symptoms, not just labels, but a human trying to understand herself while her brain keeps shifting the ground beneath her. And if you recognize yourself in any of those words, I want you to know something. You're not alone in that language. And then there's therapy. It helps us reframe this language, and medication. Um, Therapy helps us reframe the symptoms, and medication helps regulate chemistry. And yes, medication's hard. It makes you feel sometimes flat, foggy, like a zombie, not yourself. And when you feel well, you forget to take it. Like me, myself, I'm about 65% compliant on my meds. But bipolar is a medical condition, so medications are sometimes necessary. And faith and medicine are not enemies, they're partners. Just know that. You can relax and take your medicine if that's what the doctor recommends that you do. Um, and then as far as expert insights, again, Dr. K. Redfield Jameson reminds us bipolar disorder is not a character flaw. Neurological research shows differences in brain structure and connectivity. Dr. Lloyd Sedaris reminds us that mental illness deserves medical respect. And Stephen Fry reminds us stigma is heavier than the illness itself. Together they tell us this is real, this is human, it is treatable, and it's not shameful. And as far as shame goes, let's reduce the stigma, guys. Organizations like NAMI, Mental Health America, International Bipolar Foundation, they work daily to educate and normalize mental health. But stigma is reduced one conversation at a time, and this right here is a conversation. By listening without judgment, learning the silence, sharing stories, offering compassion, and letting people be honest, we can understand the science helps us to stop blaming. And let's close. Let's close this out in prayer. Thank you for listening today. Thank you for listening. And I hope this gives you a little bit of window into what bipolar looks like. I'm just going to pray before we close out. God, for every listener living with bipolar disorder, for every loved one loving someone with it, for every family trying to understand it, give them wisdom, God. Give them patience, Lord, and give them peace when the mind feels loud. Remind them they're not broken, they're not alone, they're deeply human. Amen. And if this episode spoke to you today, share it, please, with someone else. Follow the podcast, subscribe, leave a review, download the worksheet, read the blog this Friday. The blog comes out every Friday. The show comes out every Thursday, and the blog comes out the next day on Friday on my Wix website. You can find a link to that in my YouTube channel description. The worksheet, of course, is a general guide. It's not a diagnosis, not a test. It's a place to understand yourself with compassion. And the blog will expand on today's conversation. You are not alone here. This is Tanya Bruton, and this was our honest conversation about navigating bipolar disorder. Thank you all again for listening to the Grit and Grace podcast with Tanya Bruton. I hope you have a wonderful week. Until next time, bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to Grit and Grace, where we speak truth, share hope, and shine light in dark places. If this episode blessed you, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. New episodes stream every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on TruthSeekerTexasRadio.com, with daily replays at 2 and 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Want more? Dive into my blog, Bible studies, and behind-the-scenes content at gritandgracepodcast.wixsite.com/Grit and Grace Podcast. Have a testimony to share, a prayer request, or want to be a guest on the show? Email me at gritandgracepodcasttx@gmail.com. I'd love to connect. Until next time, keep showing up, keep holding on, and remember, God's grace is gritty enough for the hard days and gentle enough to heal. Be blessed, friends.